bright light behind your surface. Typically your restorals are done with the windows installed, and you just want to be able to see what you're working with. So a fluorescent drop light works great. Any light source that you have, as long as you can put something inside to see what you've got. So here's our window today we're starting with. You can see it's really scratched up. Start with that 1500 micro mesh, and I'm just going to kind of unwind that and line it up on my backup pad. The kit does come with a backup pad. That's what you see here. And we just use these material with regular tap water. I'm just going to spritz the window and start sanding. You want to come in contact with the window before you start your sander and keep it moving. Let the abrasive do the work. Sand with this first step until the damage is gone, and you'll be able to tell the difference between the scratches that were in the window and the pattern that this abrasive is going to make in the window. I'm just going to wipe it off so I can see and hold it up to that light source. And I don't have to wipe it off perfectly. I just want to see if I've got all those straight scratches that we observed when we started. Now you can see an all over hazy pattern at this point, and that's just the abrasive pattern from our 1500. So I'm just applying the 2400. You can see the disc is a little bit bigger than the backup, and I'm just sort of centering that around because I don't want that hook that's on our backup to scratch our acrylic. So there's a little bit of the material loop showing all the way around, just getting it on there centered. I'm just going to put a little more water on there. And just a nice slow, steady motion is all it takes. You're not going to hurt it if you're moving faster, but it's not necessary. And I feel like this gives me a nice even sanding pattern. So this white sludge that we see is just the acrylic, the dust that the acrylic would create if we were doing it dry, mixed with the water just as a little bit of a sludge. If you have the capability of rinsing that off just to kind of save you some rags, or otherwise I'm just going to use a little piece of cotton flannel here and wipe that away so I can take a peek. The surface of the window right now has the sanding pattern of the 2400. That's what we were just sanding with. But the 1500 that we started with and the 36 that we're going to transition to next is still going to look the same. All of those previous sanding patterns out, so I'm just going to sand with this a little bit longer so I can be sure of it. I'm just going to move this where I can see, and I'm not sure if you can observe in the camera, but this is, as I said, a little lighter, less cloudy visually than it was. And that looks ready to move on. I'm going to start with the microgloss. And again, with this tool, come in contact before turning it on. I'm just smearing that microgloss around a little bit, so a little bit of water. There we go. Keep my surface a little lubricated. I'm going to spritz it with water, but I want you to see what it looks like when I talk about it being dried out a little bit. You can see it's kind of clearing up, and it just, the residue is drying of the compound. So if we continued buffing it to where it was dry, we would potentially be building up heat and could burn the acrylic. So keep it just a little lubricated, It'll be fine. Come in contact with it. I'm just going to take a peek by wiping a small area, see how our process is coming. And you probably can't see it, but it's beautiful already. Let's finish it up. This is a gray sponge, same hook and loop system. Centering it on my buffer. I'm going to apply a little more microgloss. I'm going to blot that around, distribute it. You don't have to do the sponge very long. The wool is what's really working with the microgloss to remove that sanding pattern. The sponge just gives it a nice crispness, perfect finish. And the final step that we're going to do, I'm going to remove this because it's a little dirty, is apply what's called anti-stat. And that's just to knock down the static charge that might have been built up during the buffing process. It helps with you know, any kind of plastic or even glass surface. When you clean it, everything wants to attract to it, and this just only takes a little tiny bit. This takes care of that, so definitely want to follow up with some anti-stat. And I'm just going to apply that in a vertical pattern. Just going to clean all my edges. And that's how you restore a window.